Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. ESPN, NFL, RedZone, college sports, RedZone as well. Okay. So bottom line is we don't do a ton of like sports business stuff on this show, but at the same time, probably one of the bigger news stories of the last couple of days is the fact that ESPN has bought out the NFL network. Okay. Now, first of all, I'm not a labor lawyer. And if we have any in the chat, I would love to know how this is not some sort of monopoly. I don't also think it benefits the consumer of football that ESPN and the NFL are now business partners. But I bring it up solely to say that for whatever reason, that for the fact that this did happen, while it is weird, it is interesting because I think the first reaction was, is this going to impact NFL RedZone, which is basically like amazing, right? I think we all watch RedZone to some degree, especially those early Saturday or Sunday afternoon, that 1 p.m. Eastern window when there's a million games. Well, I bring it up because everybody wants to know, is RedZone going to be impacted now that ESPN owns the NFL network? How about this? Roger Goodell saying not only will RedZone not be impacted, we could get a college football version of RedZone. Here's Roger Goodell earlier on Wednesday.
One of the most popular elements of NFL programming has been RedZone. It's a staple for NFL fans. What is that going to look like now under this new partnership?
Well, that'll actually stay the same. It'll continue to be produced right here in this building. It will be the NFL RedZone. I don't think fans will see any difference to that. Obviously, in the context of that, though, ESPN purchased the RedZone name, and they will be able to utilize that for other sports, college football and other things. And I think that could be an exciting thing for our fans also to see a RedZone maybe in college football or other sports. That's something that they now own and have the ability to do that. But as far as RedZone, NFL RedZone, there won't be any changes for our fans.
Well, it's an absolute staple. That's good news. And expanding that's pretty fast.
Did you hear what Roger Goodell just said? He said, and I quote, they have purchased the name for RedZone for the NFL, maybe college and other things. Okay. So could we be getting a college football RedZone? I think as importantly, can we be getting a college basketball RedZone? Although it probably wouldn't be called RedZone since there's no RedZone on a basketball court. This made me feel really good. Let's go ahead and talk about it really quick. First of all, before we even get to college football, maybe a college basketball RedZone, we need one during championship week, by the way. First of all, let me say this. Goodell says that NFL RedZone will not change as far as the NFL is concerned. I don't have a lot of wishes in life. Roger Goodell, if you listen to the Aaron Torres pod, do not let ESPN screw up RedZone. Okay. It's one of the few things in life that like, let me ask you this. How many things in life have a near 100% approval rating? You could drop them in the chat. There aren't very many. Have you ever heard anyone say anything other than NFL RedZone is the greatest thing that has ever happened to TV? Again, especially that 1 p.m. Eastern window, you get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games, whatever. You're just going back and forth, this and that. And I think when this ESPN thing became a thing, I think we all thought, oh no, don't screw up RedZone. Please don't screw up RedZone. So I don't know if Roger Goodell heard the noise. I think Hannah Storm, who was interviewing him, absolutely heard the noise because she made it a priority to ask about RedZone. And he says, this thing ain't going anywhere. There's nothing to worry about. I speak for everybody in the chat. I speak for everybody when I say, do not screw up NFL RedZone. Same time, though, beyond that, there is another important part of this. Did you hear Roger Goodell say that we might be getting a college football RedZone? Listen, I don't ask for much. I would put down the mic and do the Ricky Bobby, please, sweet baby Jesus. Unfortunately, my mic is kind of, it's a little wonky right now. I'm afraid if I put it down, the audio might get screwed up. Can we get a college football red zone, please? Can you name something that would be more awesome? I mean, just think about the fact, those busy Saturdays, right? Where there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games going on. When there's, multiple top 25 matchups, not just I'm thinking mostly that night window, the 7:30, 7 p.m. Eastern window, where you might have 2 or 3 matchups of multiple top 25 teams when every single broadcast partner has some sort of game on, when Notre Dame is playing on NBC and Fox has a big game and ESPN and ABC has the SEC game of the night and then ESPN has another SEC game. Like, we need Red Zone for that exact purpose. And I know what people say, well, how do they get the other networks and da-da-da-da and this and that? Listen, you could show highlights. It's allowed. Sports Center shows highlights of games that aren't on ESPN or ABC. We can figure out a way to get highlights of Ohio State, Michigan on a Red Zone type show if it's going on in real time. So to me, let's get this ESPN Red Zone thing going, because the bottom line is what a win it would be for college football fans. And again, just that busy Saturday, can you imagine being, instead of trying to have 5 TVs going or whipping around, maybe you get that one big TV for the big game that you really want to watch. Maybe it's your team that's playing, whatever. And then you are able to put on Red Zone and monitor everything else. I think, by the way, it would be a net win for a lot of like the group of 5 schools that don't get as much exposure. And like, even if you have a 2-3 TV setup, you're not putting on Tulane versus Army or whatever, but now you can have a Tulane versus Army update. I think it would be just such a win for college basketball fans, or college football fans, excuse me. Now, what I also thought, Roger Goodell said, for college football and other things. We were just talking the SEC basketball schedule. For the love of God, can we please get a college basketball Red Zone whip around type show? Those Saturdays in February where we think there's a lot of games in college football. Those college basketball Saturdays are absolutely insane. I mean, I think about those noon Eastern windows when everyone is playing and how pretty much it goes on from noon to 2 to 4 to 6 to 8. We got about 10 straight hours of basketball where there are games wall to wall, this and that. And then can you imagine like those final few weekends of the regular season when there's 20 teams on the bubble, when there's, oh, by the way, let's not forget about the small conferences where it's like if they lose this game, they're completely off the bubble. And UC Irvine is 30-2, but if they lose this game, they have no chance of getting an at-large bid, and you don't have to monitor it on some weird app. You don't have to have some illegal streaming service. They could have it on the Whip Around show, the Red Zone show. I think it would be a total net win for college basketball's regular season. Let me take it a step further. Can you imagine that thing during Champ Week? Listen, Champ Week is my favorite week on the sports calendar. You get all of the conference tournaments all at once. But can we also call a spade is that once you get into like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, when all of those major conferences are playing, there's literally no way to keep up with it. I mean, you go to that Thursday, Friday night of championship week, every single conference is playing at the same time. The SEC is playing, the Big Ten is playing, the Big 12 is playing, the ACC is playing, the Big East is playing. And obviously, as great as Red Zone would be for college football, I think for college basketball, it would be even better. And I think for, again, those last couple weekends of the regular season, and then certainly for Champ Week, it would be just a surreal thing to have as part of the programming rotation. Lastly, I'll just say this. As a guy who's a quote-unquote college baseball guy for about 2 weeks a year, every year, conference tournaments for college baseball, I think it'd be really clutch because, again, as somebody who knows nothing about college baseball, and I think even most people don't know that much about college basketball, but for somebody who doesn't know anything about college baseball, if Mississippi State loses this game, they're not getting into the NCAA tournament. Who's on the bubble? Who's this? Who's that? can you imagine that regional week? I know they have some sort of kind of whip around show, but those regional weekends where there are 16 sites playing all day, the idea of having a whip around show on those days, people, I'm about to faint just thinking about it. I'm about to faint just thinking about it. And I'll wrap by saying, like, I think we all kind of thought this ESPN buying the NFL Network, again, I still think there's got to be some antitrust monopoly thing going on. And I'm not talking about Boardwalk and Park Place when I talk about monopoly. I'm talking about like against, the law. But if we're going to have it, I like Goodell basically saying, why can't we get a college football red zone? Why can't we get a red zone in other sports? Let's expand this thing. Shout out to Roger Goodell, who I think he made a lot of fans of a lot of sports happy with that comment.